Have you ever noticed that the moment you start protecting your peace, you suddenly feel like the bad guy? You say no to extra work or tell a friend you cannot listen to them vent tonight, and instead of feeling relieved, you feel a heavy weight in your chest. You stare at your phone, rereading your message, wondering if you sounded too harsh or ruined the relationship forever. The reason you feel guilty for setting boundaries is often the same reason people keep crossing them. The people who need boundaries the most are usually the ones who make you feel worst for having them. Today, we are unpacking boundary guilt. Not just stand up for yourself advice. We are going deep into the psychological patterns and hidden childhood experiences that make saying no feel like a moral failure, and your patience to a difficult family member. By evening, you have nothing left. Then your phone buzzes. It is that one person who always needs something right when you are completely empty. Your brain immediately enters an intense battle. The rational side knows you need to rest, but another part starts to spiral. Psychologists call this maladaptive rumination. You are not simply deciding whether to answer a call, you are questioning your entire identity. You imagine scenarios that may never happen. If I don't answer, they'll think I'm angry. If I say I'm tired, they'll think I'm weak. That mental spiral is actually more exhausting than the conversation itself. You end up feeling like a background character in your own life. But while you manage everyone else's feelings, your brain never truly gets to rest. You are always scanning, always preparing for conversations that have not even happened yet. This is not just overthinking. It is a deeply rooted mental habit where your brain never receives the signal to stop. You feel guilty about boundaries because your mind does not see them as self-protection. It sees them as a weapon aimed directly at someone else's comfort. To understand why this guilt feels so overwhelming, we need to look at what is actually happening inside your brain. For many people watching this, your brain likely works in the way Polish psychologist Kazimierz Dabrowski described as overexcitability. This means your nervous system experiences the world with much deeper intensity than most people. A simple conversation does not just come and go, it stays in your mind long after it has ended. Research by psychologist Elaine Aron shows that the amygdala, the emotional center of your brain, is far more reactive in highly sensitive people. You do not feel guilt more because you are weak. You feel it more because your brain is literally wired to process emotions with extreme depth. When someone feels disappointed in you, your brain does not just notice it. It feels it like a heavy physical weight. This pattern usually starts in childhood, especially in unpredictable homes. If you grew up where moods shifted without warning or small mistakes had big consequences, your young brain learned a survival strategy. It learned to think ahead and anticipate everyone's needs to stay safe. Over-explaining yourself and avoiding boundaries is not a personal flaw. It is a smart adaptation. Your nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do to protect you. Here is something hard to hear. Your guilt is not a sign that you did something wrong. It is usually just a sign that you are interrupting someone else's comfort. In psychology, there is a big difference between convenience and conviction. Convenience is when someone enjoys being around you simply because you are warm, easy, and always available. They enjoy the heat of your fire, but never helped chop the wood. When you set a boundary, you are asking them to put in real effort. To someone used to pure convenience, your no feels like an attack because it forces them to face discomfort they have spent years running from. A person with conviction, however, values you so deeply that they do not want confusion. They do not want you exhausted or shrinking yourself just to keep them comfortable. They respect your boundaries because they want a real and lasting connection, not just someone always available to meet their needs. If you feel like you constantly have to prove your worth every time you express a need, you are likely stuck in what researchers call the ambiguity shield. They keep things undefined so they can freely access your energy without ever taking responsibility for protecting it. This creates intermittent reinforcement, the most addictive cycle that exists. They give you just enough warmth to keep you hoping, then pull away the moment you ask for a boundary. When you avoid setting boundaries just to escape the guilt, you are practicing intellectual camouflage. You are hiding your true needs and holding back what you really think just to keep others feeling comfortable. Over time, this hiding becomes your entire personality. The cost of this is a low-grade exhaustion that is very difficult to put into words. It feels like operating on a slightly different frequency and spending years turning yourself down just to match the energy of people around you. When you live as a convenient resource for others, the thinking part of your brain stays in a constant state of overdrive, always calculating how to keep everyone else happy. This is especially draining for people who think deeply and creatively. Your brain naturally spots patterns and unfairness that others completely miss. You clearly see the gap between how things are and how they should be. That strong moral awareness makes it even harder to stay silent, yet the fear of rejection keeps you trapped in the same exhausting cycle. We need to stop treating guilt like a moral warning sign and start seeing it as simple biological feedback. Guilt does not mean you are a bad person. It means you are shifting from letting others decide your worth to deciding it yourself. Mentally strong people understand that guilt is often just growth pain. Research shows that avoiding discomfort feels easier short-term but creates emotional weakness over time. Every time you push through the discomfort of setting a boundary, your brain actually builds stronger pathways for resilience. Real strength is not about never feeling guilty. It is about sitting with uncertainty without falling apart. It is saying, "I cannot do that," and not immediately rushing to fix everyone's reaction. Psychologists call this tolerance of ambiguity. Instead of panicking to end your discomfort, you learn to simply observe the guilt calmly and let it pass naturally. So, how do we move forward without being destroyed by the guilt? We do it by shifting our focus from validation to observation. The woman or man who cannot be played or drained asks a different question. Is this person demonstrating value to me? They stop asking, do they like me? And start acting as the observer of their own life. They understand that they cannot date potential or build a life around ghosts. When someone shows they are operating in the convenience zone, a mentally strong person doesn't write a long paragraph explaining their hurt. They don't perform anger. They simply, quietly, and completely remove their presence. They also embrace the power of the complete sentence. You do not need to provide a lengthy justification for your rest. When you over-explain, you are actually auditioning for their approval. You are saying, "Is it okay if I have a need?" But the truth is, your yes only has power if your no is a real, respected option. Finally, start protecting your cognitive load and emotional bandwidth. Your brain has finite resources for attention and regulation. People who deliberately protect those resources tend to think more clearly, perform better, and maintain more stable moods across time. Setting a boundary isn't an act of aggression. It's an act of sophisticated emotional functioning. It's you finally recognizing the shape of your own mind and giving it the space it needs to breathe. Your intensity and depth are not problems to fix. They are just the shape of your mind. If someone makes you feel like too much for having limits, it is not because you are broken. It is because you are a high-powered system trying to fit into an environment built for basic interactions. Stop making yourself smaller to fit someone else's limitations. The right people will not ask you to turn yourself down. They will simply rise up to match your level. If this gave a name to that heavy guilt you have been quietly carrying, please share it with a friend who is currently overanalyzing their own worth. Comment below, what is one boundary you have been avoiding because of guilt? Subscribe to Psychology Pub for more deep dives into the hidden patterns shaping your life. You are not too sensitive. You are just finally learning how to carry your gift properly.